Hello and welcome to a series I am calling What If I Made Marvel Movies. We will be looking at what movies I would put where and how the story of that would go. Also, this would be if I had all the rights to all the characters. Phase 1 is Superhero Beginnings. These are the movies that would be the first ones to come out. Film 1 is Spider-Man The Beginning. It's basically the origin story of Spider-Man and how he goes off to high school with Harry and MJ. And then he gets his spider powers, but Harry's father, Norman Osborn, turns it into the Green Goblin, and Eddie Brock becomes Venom. And there will be a post-credit scene of Norman Osborn meeting another villain in prison. Film 2 I have decided to call Fantastic Four Orbit. It will be the origins of how each of the Fantastic Four got their powers. So Reed becoming stretchy, Sue becoming invisible, and Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm becoming stone and fire. They will start off by practicing with their powers and realizing how those powers works, like in the 2005 film, and figuring things out in that way. But they will all come together and use their powers to the priority of things and be able to stop Galactus from eating Earth, and the Silver Surfer will help alongside them. There will be 2 post-credit scenes for this film. One of Doctor Doom going up to the place where the Fantastic Four got their powers, setting him up to be the villain of their next film. And also, Galactus will be talking to a purple alien, aka Thanos. The next film is Captain America: Man Out of Time. It basically takes the ideas from Captain America: The First Avenger in our main MCU film, but it does some other things where, like, obviously Red Skull doesn't find the Tesseract, so obviously that goes somewhere different, and yeah, that's basically about it. The next film I have thought of is Thor: The God of Thunder. I decided to call it this because obviously it's his main idea of his name and an origin story of him and Loki. So obviously we'll get Thor and Loki both as children with Odin, and Odin will tell them that one of them will become a god, and then we kind of like follow the same sort of style as the first Thor in our MCU one, where he gets sent down to Earth, he has a fight with Loki, Odin's barely in it, and all that sort of jazz. And then we have a post-credit scene at the end of this one, which will put Loki on Earth, ready for the Avengers film. And the next film is The Incredible Hulk. Obviously, it's gonna kind of follow the same sort of thing as the Incredible Hulk in 2008, but it's gonna kind of be a link to his origin story and how he got that, how he got his powers, and it's also going to like end up being a fight between Hulk and the Abomination. So it's kind of like it will be an origin story following Bruce, how he gets linked with this gamma radiation, his first transformation into the Hulk, and then obviously controlling that power, and then the final battle being him versus the Abomination, which is kind of like the one in there, except the military isn't part of it. In addition, we will get a post-credit scene of Nick Fury coming in to talk to the general who is Betty's dad, and because she loves the Hulk, she loves Banner, she would be able to tell her dad where the Hulk is, and so yeah. Next up, we have the Invincible Iron Man. Unfortunately, this isn't gonna be like Tony's origin story. It's gonna be a kind of like a old mech versus new mech sort of thing. Obviously, Tony's gonna create his first suit, which is the one you see on the side, and the Ironmonger uses it because Tony threw it away. And then obviously Tony makes a silver one, but it doesn't work. So he lets his friend Rhodey have it, and so he works on his new red and gold one, which you see on the front. And in this part, he will be able to defeat Ironmonger because his suit is new, flashy, and better. He also uses the arc reactor to defeat him. And in a post-credit scene, we will see Nick Fury talking to Tony Stark about the Avengers Initiative. Next up, we have Film 7 of the phase, the final one, Avengers New York's Heroes. So it kind of follows the same story as the original, where the team doesn't know how to like fight together, but with them losing a friend of Fury's, a work colleague of Fury's, we'll say. It's not Agent Coulson, if you were wondering. Thanks to Loki, and they combine and they're able to defeat him. We then move on to phase 2, which I have entitled Team Ups. 2 or more characters teaming up to defeat or collab. First movie we have is Spider-Man Autolocked, which I cleverly named because it was auto, and then it's like Octolock, which is a Pokemon move. If you don't know, I like Pokemon as well. So basically, this continues from Spider-Man 1. Peter's trying to get a job and being a newscaster and stuff, but he gets distracted with Spider-Man work, thanks to Doc Ock. And so he defeats Doc Ock, and obviously Harry meets his dad in the prison. MJ starts to get a crush on Spider-Man. And in a post-credit scene, we see that Goblin, Electro, and Sandman have escaped from the prison. Next film, we have Fantastic Four: Doom Destruction. So obviously in this one, Doctor Doom comes back. Obviously, like the Fantastic Four, he wasn't feeling well, and so they don't know what's going on, and they're testing their powers out, making sure they can fight everything. And so once Victor figures out what his powers are, he heads towards the Baxter Building where the Fantastic Four are doing their training, and then tries to fight them. But unfortunately, they are able to overpower him and put him on a ship to Latveria. Next up, we have our new team, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, in this one, Star-Lord, Rocket, Drax, and Groot are the main ones to be the Guardians. Let's say Gamora's kind of like a grey area. But obviously, they team up, they face off against Ego, the alien in the back with the green eyes. And so I wanted like a father-son movie for them to start with, so that so that Peter can get the anger out immediately. And then obviously, thanks to Ego corrupting Peter, the rest of the Guardians team up to defeat him and try to remind Peter that he is a good person. Next up is film 4 of the season, film 4 of phase 2, which I've named the first X-Men movie, X-Men Protect the Straits. I do not have a idea of who the original X-Men would be in this sort of thing, but I know some of the characters on the screen would be a part of it, but others wouldn't. But the story of this would be that the X-Men are all in the mansion and they're doing their training whilst Professor Xavier, this is a young Professor Xavier, by the way, helps them control their powers, uses a couple of sheets paper to make their suits. But then Mr. Sinister starts attacking a city near the mansion, and so they end up having to go and fight with their powers a little underrated. So they all decide to gang up and help destroy Mr. Sinister. Next up, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Honeycombed. I wanted it to be Ant-Man and the Wasp because obviously a team up is better than a single Ant-Man movie, even though it would be funny to see Scott working on his own. However, it does kind of follow the similarities of the original Ant-Man, but in addition, the Wasp is there, so they're able to defeat Darren Cross, aka the Yellow Jacket, and so they are able to join them together and beat him to it. So, and obviously they use their shrinking tech. Hank Pym is there. This is Scott and Hope, who are these characters, rather than it being like an origin story where Hank and Janet are these characters. Oh, by the way, Janet is not stuck in the quantum realm anymore. Next up, we have Iron Man 2, Iron Spider. So, obviously, Iron Man and Spider-Man team up to help create one of Tony's new suits. However, a corrupt AI from Hank Pym accidentally gets into the suit and creates the character of Ultron, and unfortunately, due to it being overpowered, Spider-Man and Iron Man can't take it on. So Ultron vanishes and tries to do damage in the main city. However, with the combined intelligence of Spider-Man and Iron Man, they are able to create Spider-Man a new suit, the Iron Spider suit. And by this point, they are able to track down Ultron and defeat him using Iron Man's new Mark V armor and Spider-Man's new Iron Spider suit. So they are able to defeat him. And then in a post-credit scene, we see Bruce, Tony, and Peter all helping to create the character of Vision. We now have the next film, that is Captain America, Leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the villain of this, as you can see, is the leader. And so what the leader has done is he has corrupted Bucky Barnes to try and go out and defeat Captain America. But Captain America has met up with a friend called Sam, who ends up becoming the character Falcon. And so they are able to team up and defeat Hydra agents and the leader and put the leader away on the raft. And in a post-credit scene, we see Cap and Sam making sure that Bucky isn't brainwashed anymore. Next up, we have Thor Across the Cosmos. This is a many different, you know how Asgard kind of connects to the 8 realms? So we're kind of gonna do that, but it's gonna be like Hela and Surtur team up to defeat and try and crush all of the all of the places that Thor goes to. And by the end of it, there are only 4 places that survive, and Thor is able to defeat Hela and Surtur, but at different points. And so yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And yeah, there is no post-credit scene. Next up, we have the Incredible Hulk, and this is where we get introduced to Red Hulk, and it's actually if you're counting correctly, the second Incredible Hulk movie that actually links to the Hulk. So it's gonna be like President Ross becomes Red Hulk, and so he kind of has a temper tantrum and turns into the Hulk whilst Bruce is working on. So he turns into the Hulk and tries to defeat Red Hulk, and as he finds out that they are evenly matched, they try to destroy. They don't try. Well, the Hulk tries to stop Red Hulk from destroying Washington. Unfortunately, there is no post-credit scene. This is the Avengers film. Unfortunately, I don't have a poster for it, but I do have a synopsis. So it's Avengers Zodiac. It's basically the Avengers, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Black Widow and Hawkeye all collab together to go up against the Zodiac crew to fight them. And so they are able to defeat them, and they become a good team. They've collabed with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Black Widow and Hawkeye, and that's about it. And now, and let's just say the post-credit scene is Thanos making his glove. And now we go on to Phase 3, Infinity Stones, or well, it's a mini Infinity Saga, because obviously we haven't seen any of the stones yet. So yeah. Also, one of the things is that the Space Stone isn't part of it, because it's gonna come up later. So the first film of Phase 3 is Spider-Man Sinister Six. So we have the Sinister Six I have come up with is Green Goblin, Sandman, Venom, Electro, Doc Ock, and Mysterio. But what happens is Spider-Man is able to use his new suit to take on all 6 of them. Unfortunately, we can't have something where it's like we have like Tobey Maguire and stuff showing up. So it's just this character's version of the Sinister Six. Also, if you like my titles, I like them. And in a post-credit scene, we will get to see Miles Morales. Okay, the next film is Iron Man and the Mind Stone. So obviously the Mind Stone is inside Vision. Vision becomes corrupt, and so Iron Man has to try and fight him, and by doing that he accidentally destroys Vision's shell and takes the Mind Stone out of him. And so yeah, that's about it. And let's say maybe a post-credit scene could be Vision turning white and coming back to life. Next up we have Doctor Strange and That Time Forgotten. Originally it was meant to be That Time Forgot, which was meant to be a play on the Toy Story horror film thing. But yeah, we'll get back to that. It's basically Doctor Strange becomes a magician, becomes a sorcerer, thanks to the Ancient One. And after he finds out about the Time Stone, he figures out how to become a strong sorcerer. But then at the end of the film, Dormammu attacks, and so he uses the Time Stone to time loop and try and defeat Dormammu a bunch of different times. And that's it. This one is focusing on the Time Stone. Next up, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, the Power Stone. So obviously this takes place in on the place where the Power Stone originally was, and the Guardians have got there before, but Ronan and Nebula have teamed up to try and get one of them for the Mad Titan Thanos. So they have to battle each other to try and get it, and we can like maybe do a thing where like Ronan has it for a moment, but then Star-Lord takes it from him and all that sort of thing. And as usual, Star-Lord wins, but in a post-credit scene, Gamora gets taken away by Thanos. Next up, we have a break from the stones where we have Black Panther, and it is Black Panther versus the White Tiger, and that's mostly going to be the deal of it, and it's going to showcase vibranium and how that works as well. But that's basically it. There's no post-credit scene. Black Panther hasn't like gone off to Civil War, so Bucky isn't there. And so yeah, that's kind of how it will go. Okay, next up we have For the Reality Bender. This one is basically set on the skull. It's the skull of a celestial, and is nowhere, which is where the Collector lives. So Thor, having known about the Reality Stone, is told by one of the Avengers to go and protect it. So it ends up being a fight between Thor and the Collector, with Thor coming out on top. Even though the Collector is a bad guy, it is a neutral character. Yeah, he tries to keep it for himself so that he can hand it off. Unfortunately, I don't ignore what I just said. Next up, we have Fantastic Four Vormir. I wanted to try and do something that would make sense, and even though they don't get the Soul Stone, they all survive, but they do have to end up fighting Thanos. And obviously Reed Richards had connections with Tony Stark, who was able to tell them that the Soul Stone was in this area. So it ends up being a fight. However, no one dies. And yeah. Next up, we have a side film like Black Panther, but it's like an Ant-Man and the Wasp spin-off, where it's Ant-Man and the Wasp versus Egghead, a Marvel villain that doesn't get discussed that often. But it's gonna play off like Egghead tries to tries to build something. Unfortunately, Ant-Man and the Wasp had to stop him, and so on and so on. And obviously, the post-credit scene can be them arriving at Avengers HQ. This one, X-Men Magnets. Basically a fight between Magneto and the X-Men, with Magneto almost coming out on top, and then Charles Xavier trying to calm him down and become a mutant teacher so that he can discuss to the students how his powers work, how him and Xavier used to be friends, and then all that sort of jazz. And obviously there won't be any X-Men in the Avengers film, so this is kind of like where they stop for now until we see it again later in the day, in other phases, I should mean. This is a fun one. Captain Marvel versus the Skrulls. Well, first off, Skrulls have been on the planet since 1999. This takes place mid 90s, I'd say. And so they have to end up finding people whose powers have been around. So like they might have Captain America, there might be some X-Men genes in him, and so they fight, and then obviously Captain Marvel reveals herself to be a really, really strong hero, and then in a post-credit scene we'll see her meeting with Nick Fury and the rest of the Avengers, but in a timeline, well, not a timeline, but in a world where half the people have vanished. Okay, here it is, the big one. So we have the first part of the Infinity Gauntlet. So it's a mix of all the characters who have been in the past 3 phases going up against Thanos, and Thanos looking for the stones. He already has the Space Stone, and he, at the start, we see him pushing Gamora off to get the Soul Stone. So he has the Space and Soul Stone in his arms, and yeah, unfortunately, by the end of it, they lose, and half their people go missing. The people who survive the Guardians is Rocket and Groot. All the Avengers survive with Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Reed and Ben are the only ones to survive out of the Fantastic Four, and it's very sad and stuff like that, but that's what they gotta do. And finally, part 2, which is basically Endgame, try and get it back, go back to different places, and see how many of the stones you can collect. The big battle, bringing in Captain Marvel, and there will be some fun reunions like Johnny and Ben and Sue and Reed and Star-Lord and Rocket and Groot. And yeah, it's basically part 1 and 2 are like Endgame and Infinity War. So yeah, and that's the end of phase 3. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I am gonna do a phase 4 through 6 some point, but at the moment this is what you've got. Remember, May, the next video is my Comic-Con trip, so you'll be seeing me as a real person dressed up. And also, as I realise this video is coming out on Easter, so happy Easter if you celebrate that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.